My beloved brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First and foremost, I just want to thank the administration of the Masjid Tawfiq, and also our brothers, Ustadh Nu'man, Ustadh Mustafa, and the rest of those who helped facilitate this program. Masjid Tawfiq has a very special place in my heart, and that is because when I first started giving da'wah, it was one of the first masajid that invited me. Right? And we should never forget that. Those who were there from day one, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward them with excellence and keep them steadfast in continuing their call to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My beloved brothers and sisters, social media. وَسَخَّرَ لَكُم مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. The asl when it comes to social media, as we're all probably aware, that it is permissible for us to use this modern day technology, this modern day advancement. However, social media is no different to anything that is double-sided, if you want to call it that, or a double-edged sword. This cup that I have in front of me, my brothers and my sisters, this cup here, it can be used for a number of reasons. Sahih? What can it be used for? Water. Is water halal? Without a shadow of a doubt. It can also be used for what? Something that is haram. Alcohol. Right? Does that make the cup haram? No. It doesn't make the cup haram. In within itself it is permissible. Right? However, how you end up using it, this goes a long way in determining, right, where you are headed in your journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Either you get closer, or it may well be the reason why you are dragged to the hellfire. I wanted to change it up a little bit. I've spoken about this topic a number of times. This topic of social media. Today I wanted to mention a number of legal maxims, qawa'id fiqhiyah. It was a decision that I made this morning. Some legal maxims that we need to take into consideration when using social media. As I mentioned, the asl is, when it comes to social media, you're allowed to use it, right? However, depending on how you end up using it, it could either make or break your dunya and likewise the hereafter. Are you brothers and sisters with me? And there's a lot of things like that. Right? There's a lot of things like that. I want to be able to address, inshallah, the parents, right? Also, our young brothers and sisters, people of different walks of life. The first legal maxim I want to mention, my brothers and my sisters, is مَا لَا يَتِمُّ الْوَاجِبُ إِلَّا بِهِ فَهُوَ وَاجِبٌ. If something is mandatory, if something is wajib, and the only way I can fulfill that thing that is mandatory, right, is by doing something else, that thing becomes wajib as well. Right? I'll give you guys another example. Praying your salah in the masjid. When the adhan goes off, let's just say somebody is living next door. The adhan goes off. Him now praying in the masjid, what's the ruling? Am I going to fiqh discussion now? What's the ruling of him praying the salah in the masjid? According to some scholars, this is mandatory. Sahih? Let's just go off of that. Okay? You're next to the masjid, right? You're in adhan's distance. I call it adhan's distance. You would have to come to the masjid and pray. According to a group of scholars. Inside of the masjid. In order for me to be able to fulfill this act of worship that is wajib, I would have to walk there. Walking in within itself, is it mandatory? Is it an obligation? No, it's not. Right? Just perfectly fine. No. But now to be able to fulfill this act of worship or praying in the masjid, I can only walk. This would also become mandatory as well. Is everybody with me or have I lost you guys? Huh? Praying in the masjid is wajib, sah? I can't fulfill this wajib except by walking there. You walking there will also become wajib. Agreed? I think that's common sense, huh? طيب. somebody fell into zina because of a certain social media app. Zina, is it halal or is it haram? Haram, ahsant. You staying away from it is mandatory, sah? It's an obligation upon every Muslim now to stay away from it. Right? Agreed? Allah has obligated me to stay away from a zina, sah? In fact, He told me not to go anywhere near it. وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا. Allah could have said, don't do zina. Sah? But He said, don't come near it. Anything that is going to bring you near to a zina, you have to cut off. So we have somebody now, brothers and sisters, that fell into zina because of an app on his phone. Such as Fitnagram. Right? Or Facebook. You guys know Facebook? Facebook, Facebook. It's the book of transgression. Or whatever other app one may use now to commit that haram. Right? You have apps that have actually been made for you to carry out a zina. And some may have it on their phones. Once upon a time, my brothers and my sisters, if you wanted to access haram on the internet, you would have to go to the computer. Where is the computer normally? Maybe in the living room. Right? A lot of time will be in the living room. Some of you may remember MSN. Do you guys remember MSN? Who was old enough to remember MSN? You guys won't understand. The elders know exactly what I'm talking about. And you would have a webcam. On the webcam, one is accessing haram, speaking to the opposite gender. As he's accessing the haram, he's watching the door. He's watching the door, making sure that somebody doesn't walk in while he's accessing this haram. Nobody in their right mind would take this big computer and place it under his blanket. Mustahil. Now, haram has become so much more easier to access. With these phones, right? After being huge computers, they've now become what? Small phones like that. That you can take under your blanket. Haram is what? A fingertip away. It is a fingertip away. I always say this, my brothers and my sisters, right? Once upon a time, we as parents believed that the only way that my son or my daughter, right, will become corrupted is if they hang around with the wrong crowd. One of the first lectures I gave in this message was about bad companions. Some of you guys may remember. Bad companions back in 2014. And this is the root cause of a lot of filth and corruption reaching our children. Right? And the Messenger emphasized on it as one is upon the religion of his friend. Be careful who he mixes with. Also the hadith of the perfume seller and the blacksmith. We've all heard it, right? You go to a perfume seller, you will come out smelling good. You go to a blacksmith, he might end up burning you. But you will walk away with traces. Thinking that the only way that my child may become corrupted is by him hanging around with the wrong crowd, thinking this is the only way, those days are long gone. Wallahi, my brothers and my sisters, I believe one can be in between those four walls. Right? 12-year-old, she's inside of a room. And she will be exposed to more evil than a young girl that has left the house and come back after 1 hour. How many people can she meet in 1 hour, my brothers and my sisters? Give me a number. 20? Huh? 60. 25. We have big ranges in between the numbers that are being mentioned. Let's just say 20, 30. Sah? Then how many people do you think you can engage with in the space of 1 hour when using these apps? That's why they call it Facebook friends. Facebook friends. Friends. Agreed, brothers and sisters? The amount of individuals that she or he, that young kid, in between those four walls can be exposed to in a very short space of time is numbers that you can't imagine. Right? So this is why I say, those days when we thought that the only way that one can become corrupted is by hanging around with the wrong people, those days are long gone. Forget about it. We are dealing with a whole different monster today. That's why I brought this qaida. ما لا يتم الواجب إلا به فهو واجب. If you cannot fulfill a wajib except by doing something else, this something else becomes wajib as well. So now I have an app on my phone. This app was the cause of me falling into a zina, right? And me staying away from a zina is an obligation. It is a must. Me getting rid of that app becomes also wajib as well. Also, we can look at it from a different angle, and this is to the parents, right? It is mandatory upon us to install content filtering and monitoring apps on their phones and tablets, and whatever other gadget that we may hand over to our children. Wallahi, my brothers and sisters, this broke my heart, this email that I received. An auntie emailed in saying, my 9-year-old son was searching on YouTube how to stop watching the 4-letter word. She goes, this broke my heart. But at the same time, I'm happy, right? That he's trying to overcome these challenges. He's looking to navigate around it. Yes, I understand, oh parents. We feel the need to hand over these gadgets because everybody has a sah. And if I don't give it to my son or my daughter, she will feel as if she is missing out or he's missing out. I know some of you guys may be young and you think that this is irrelevant to you, but you want to have children one day, right? And today, as young as 1 or 2, we are handing over these gadgets to them. And when I say to this mother, why are you doing this? She goes, what am I supposed to do? Right? What am I supposed to do? That's how I keep the children occupied. طيب ولو سلمنا. Right? For argument's sake, خلاص, you're going to give it to them. Don't you think, my brothers and my sisters, right? Basic reasonability is for us to ensure that they are not accessing the wrong things. Right? Isn't this a responsibility? Am I not going to be asked about the wealth that I used to buy these gadgets? لا تزول قدم عبد حتى يسأل عن 4. We were told by the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one's feet on Yawm al-Qiyam will not move until he's asked about 4 things. One of them is عن ماله من أين اكتسبه ومن أين أو فيما أنفقه, where he earned his wealth and what he spent it on. وفيما أنفقه. Allah tells in the Quran, we've all memorized it. ثم لتسألن يومئذ عن النعيم. Which surah is it? Huh? Sorry? Surah Takathur. Is that right? You will be asked about your... What does na'im mean? And the one that answered the question. Huh? He's not sure. Great, we are memorizing. We should also try to understand the Quran. That's what we came here for. Ayah. What does na'im mean? ثم لتسألن يومئذ عن النعيم. ها؟ يا جماعة ايش فيكم؟ What does النعيم mean?
Money, when?
Oh brother, Jazakallah khair. Money is part of النعيم. It's part of it. But na'im is a lot more general than money. Blessings, my brothers and my sisters, you will be asked about your blessings. You know the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he explained this verse. There are different ways to do tafsir, to explain verses in the Quran. Quran with the Quran, and they have Quran with Sunnah, where the Messenger ﷺ comments on the intended purpose of certain verses. You know what he said? Al-Aswadan. You will be asked about the Aswadan, the two black things. Who knows what the two black things are? Huh? Ahsant. Right? Dates and water. These are blessings you will be asked about. If the Messenger ﷺ is telling us, you will be asked about these two blessings, which is what? Dates and water. You're probably thinking to yourself, what? Water? You take it for granted, sir. Many people don't have it. Did you know, my brothers and sisters, I know I'm just going off on a tangent now, right? In the haram, there are some poor people, they live on dates and water. And a bit of yogurt that they get. That's what they eat and what they live on. Right? So if something keeps you alive, isn't that a blessing? Of course it is. You're going to be asked about what? Your dates that you used to consume, and also the water that you used to quench your thirst with. If you're going to be asked about that, you're not going to be asked about your phones. وَلِذَلِكَ أَقُولُ يَا جَمَاعَةً, it is mandatory, right? Especially if somebody now is falling into haram, right? And you've come to know that you install that which is going to filter your content and monitor it. Right? You can do that on TikTok. You can do that, my brothers and my sisters, on your iPhones. I believe also on Samsung. May Allah help you if you have Samsung. Right? I suffer from phonism. I have a big problem with Samsung. Your Prophet is with me. You might even have to make wudu after touching it. Allahu A'lam. Right? And wash your hands. Shahid al-Kalam, there are ways, my brothers and my sisters, to apply monitoring and filtering options on the phone. My parents, please. أعيد وأكرر. This is a responsibility on your shoulders. We know exactly what happens on these phones, how they are targeted, how they are affected by these gadgets. Right? The next point I want to mention, my brothers and sisters, is we mentioned at the beginning that it's permissible to use these gadgets. It's permissible. Something being permissible doesn't make it okay for you now to engage in it, right? And to consume it for that which is more than that which is required. Think about what I'm saying. Playing football is allowed. It's not trick questions here. Football is allowed. Yes. I believe it's allowed. Providing you stay away from haram and you pray the prayers at its appropriate time, and you know, you're not showing your thighs and ila akhirih. Reading the news, is it permissible? The news, you go to bbc.com, is it allowed? However, my brothers and my sisters, anything that is permissible which you overdo, it will eventually lead to the hardness of your heart. That's the next principle I want you guys to write down. Anything that is permissible which you overdo will eventually lead to the hardness of the heart. Wadah, my brothers and my sisters? Ibn al-Jawzi, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said this, right, over 900 years ago. Are you brothers and sisters with me? He passed away, by the way, in the year 595. You know what he said, my brothers and my sisters? إذا غرق القلب في المباح أظلم. When the heart now begins to drown in things that are permissible. You know, in the Sharia we have wajib, we have mustahab, something that is mandatory, something that is sunnah, something that is permissible, something that is disliked, and we also have something that is haram. Let's take the 5 ahkam taklifiyah. Well, I think we've somewhat heard of it, right? Things that are permissible, it's fine, but it's not sunnah. Using your phone, going on, watching the news, right? كل هذه الأشياء is permissible, providing you're not engaging in something that's haram. And football likewise. But if you begin to overdo it, it will begin to what? Affect your heart. Ibn al-Jawzi, he's saying, if you begin to drown in something that is permissible, your heart will darken. Then how about haram? Right? Would you agree, my brothers and my sisters, that there are times in the year where our iman goes sky high, we feel great, right? We're pumped up, especially in which month? Why? Why? You know, many years ago when we first came to Leicester, I remember I asked myself this question. On the day of Eid, all of a sudden I'm feeling very indifferent. Lesh. We just came out the month of Ramadan. Lesh. Why do I all of a sudden feel indifferent? Lesh. And then it began to make sense to me. Sometimes on the day of Eid, we end up destroying everything we've done in the month of Ramadan. Right? Because all the haram, as youngsters we were engaging and so on and so forth. You get with me? Ibn Jawzi again, my brothers, he's saying, right? I'm saying that you can play football, adi. But if somebody now, as soon as he prays Fajr, he plays all the way to Dhuhr, and then he prays, he even prays Dhuhr, adi. He prays at 12:30, great. And then he continues playing all the way to Asr, and then he prays, and then all the way to Maghrib, and then he prays, and then all the way to Isha, and then once he goes home, he watches Match of the Day. Did he do anything haram as per se? Did he leave off his prayers? No, he didn't. But he overworked. Sah. He did a lot of that which is mubah. He says this is when you begin to feel a level of hardness in your heart. Likewise, you've got people every day that speak about politics. He's sitting in front of Al Jazeera. Right? He's up to date with every political advancement and changes, and you sit down with them and just politics non-stop. It begins to affect you, my brothers and sisters. You need to read the news online. شوف خلاص امشي. Are you brothers and sisters with me? A lot of the time, my brothers and sisters, we're not even talking about using these social media apps for that which is permissible. A lot of us, and we know this, let's be honest with ourselves. As much as we might tell ourselves that it is permissible in within itself, and I'm not going to do haram, we end up falling into so much haram. You know the advice that somebody gave me when they first gave me the Instagram app, this Instagram app that I have, I didn't open it. A brother gave it to me, he goes, you have to be on Instagram. This is back in 2015. I said, come on man. At the time I thought Instagram was for little kids. Because you know when you look at the colors of the app, it's got these funky colors. I thought it was for little kids. And I go, no, there's a lot of people out there. Maybe you'll give a reminder and it will hit their hearts while they are engaging in haram. Right? While they are engaging in haram. I said, okay, no problem. And he has something like 800 followers on there, maybe 1,000, something like that. He handed it over to me and started using it for that. Right? You know what he said to me? Don't press the search button. Don't press the search button. What do you guys think? What happens when you press the search button? You see a lot of it. You're on Instagram, you're just swiping. You might see 10 haram things and then you see Abu Taymiyyah popping up. Right? And then you swipe. By the time you reach Abu Taymiyyah, I was giving you a reminder, your heart is probably already, right? And the Messenger ﷺ told us, every time you look at something haram, you do something haram, a black dot, and then another, and then another. If we're not constantly repenting, my brothers and sisters, wallah, you'll begin to feel indifferent. You'll begin to feel empty inside. And then you spend all those hours on your phone to make yourself feel better. The moment you let it down, you're back empty again. You're using social media and these apps, right, these gadgets, to fulfill or to fill that void inside of you. And you know there's a problem. Am I going to continue like that? That brings me to another point, and that is this other legal maxim, الضرر يدفع بقدر الإمكان. If there is evil, my brothers and my sisters, we try to what? Minimize it as much as possible. Isn't this what the brother was saying to me when he handed over this Instagram account? He goes, there's so much filth on there. But, right, what we can do is try to minimize the evil that people are exposed to. I remember there was discussions about this very long time ago, that all the da'wah people should come together and fill the internet. Sometimes we forget, right, the kind of monster we are dealing with, and how big the internet is, and how much da'wah there is needed, right? But then you find brothers, they're occupied with themselves, amongst themselves. This guy's busy with him, he wants to... I always say to brothers, when are we going to reach 8 billion human beings? 2 billion are Muslims. Who's going to give da'wah to them? كيف نصل إلى هؤلاء? It can't be 1 or 2 or 3. No, it can't. Sometimes we forget, like to some, I'm like the biggest problem. The biggest problem that they need to solve. I'm like, ya Jama'ah, you've got pop stars, you've got all of this filth and evil that we need to try and work together in eradicating. We need to compete with that. You know, the other day I was in an arena next to Wembley Stadium. I was doing a program there and the place was rampacked. It was full, sold out maybe 3-4 months before that. When you come out of the arena, there's a corridor that leads you to your rooms that everyone is staying in. Called like the makeup room. That's where the singers would normally sit, do their makeup, and then they would go and dance and sing and whatever else they would do. You know what they had in this corridor? All of these singers and pop stars. As the organizer was walking past, I said to him, please look at it. Just don't look at the women. I want you to reflect on a point. On the most filthiest nights and days of the year, which is the festive period, we replace these singers. Right? These youngsters today could have come and attended a lecture, not a lecture, a gig, is that what they call it? A music event. Ash-shahid min al-kalam, the point I'm trying to make is, my brothers and my sisters, we are living a nazila, right? We are living in a time where we have filth and evil, right, coming at us from every direction, right? And the least that we can do is الضرر يدفع بقدر الإمكان, that we try to minimize the evil that comes from that which has become unavoidable, right? For the better or most. Are you brothers with me? Yes. If Allah Azza wa Jalla has given you skills to be able to use some of these apps, or maybe even try to learn, right? Providing, brothers and sisters, that you will not be exposed to the haram, it's not going to be affecting you and so on and so forth, try and spread as much khair on there as possible. I always mention to the brothers, I believe one tweet can get you to Al-Jannah. One tweet, one tweet can get you to Al-Jannah. And it could be that one tweet gets you to the hellfire. Okay, how is that possible? Sometimes you put a tweet out, it's a reminder. You might not see many people retweeting it, but someone takes a screenshot and then sends it on WhatsApp. and it is circulated. It goes round and round and round and round. People learn it, then they convey it to their kids, ila akhirih. And it is on your scale of good deeds. Tomorrow you depart from this world, but the rewards, they continue. Are you brothers with me? Yeah. The rewards continue and continue and continue. It's on your scale of good deeds. You're in your grave and the rewards still continue. And the flip side is also true. Yesterday when I was teaching, I taught a poem on major sins, 72 major sins. One of the major sins was somebody who calls the people to innovation or any misguidance. And that is because the Messenger ﷺ, he said, من دعا إلى الضلالة كان له إثم من تبع لا ينقص ذلك من آثامهم شيئا. Whoever now calls to misguidance and people follow him in that misguidance, could be innovation, it could be shirk, it could be whatever it might be. It could be something as small as an innocent picture that I take, right, for our sisters who may not necessarily be dressed appropriately, and then people are screenshotting it, or everyone's just looking at it, and then that stays there. It is what? Accumulating on your scale of bad deeds. Isn't it sometimes that we do it, especially, maybe, not especially, I was going to say maybe a group of, this happens across the board. Lip syncing. Playing some music in the background. Right? Aren't you inviting the people now to go into haram? And then this video is circulated? Right? Man da'a ila dhalala. Whoever calls to misguidance is not just someone who's preaching it on the pulpit. No. It could be on social media. You upload a picture or a video of you lip syncing music, right? And then people follow you on that. And then you depart from this world, you have all of these pictures still there. Like my brothers and my sisters, I remember there was this sister, not so long ago. She passed away and all her images and videos are on TikTok and on Instagram. The family started begging TikTok to delete these images. But because they don't have a password, they've got a problem. Why is the family begging TikTok now to take it down? Because they know this is now going to what? Accumulate all of these sins. And we will be wishing earnestly that we don't have this accumulating after we've been admitted into the grave. Right? Then subhanAllah, there was a sister that looked like her, so everyone started messaging that account, or they were trying to shut her account down. And then she had to come out in public and say, that's not me, that's somebody else. SubhanAllah. There was a time, my brothers and my sisters, my wife said this to me, right? My wife had a friend, and she would plaster a lot of her images online. My wife saw a dream, and she told me this dream right after, that this sister who passed away, in her dream looked very, very weak, and she was begging her for help. Do we extrapolate rulings from dreams? Huh? Alright, cool. Is it an evidence? No, but I'm just using it as a supporting mechanism. Right? And I honestly believe, we have dreams that are three types, right? Rahmani, Shaytani, and Nafsani. A dream from Allah, a dream from the Shaytan, and then a dream of, you're thinking of something before you go to sleep, like a Twix bar, for example, or a Mars bar, and then you end up seeing it in the dream. Does it mean anything? No, it doesn't. This is a common question that sisters always ask, and brothers as well, when they found a potential wife, and then you're seeing her every night. Habibi, because you're thinking about her before you went to sleep, right? هذا من نفسك أنت. And then he means, she must be the one. You went to sleep thinking about her, you're going crazy over her, and vice versa. And then, a lot of the time it's maybe like that. Shahid min al-kalam, my sister, my wife, she saw this friend of hers, and she wasn't really thinking about her at the time, from what she said to me, because it was a past case. She sees her in the dream and she looks very weak, asking for help. And my wife is trying to figure out, how can I help her? She went on her social media and she saw that she wasn't really covering up properly. So my wife contacted the family and asked the family to take these pictures out, to remove it. Initially the family wasn't really, they were like, no, we leave it there as remembrance and, dhikriyat. Eventually they took it down. My wife later on, months later, sees another dream of this sister thanking her. Right? Wallahi al-Azim. She sees the same sister thanking her, Jazakallah khair for everything you've done for me. And she looked a lot more energetic. Right? So if anyone has any images, please take it down, brothers and sisters. We don't come to these lectures leaving the same way we came here. We came here because we want to better ourselves, we want change. Right? How long do I have, ya Sheikh Nu'man? 20. Ajib. طيب. The next one, my brothers and my sisters. درء المفاسد مقدم على جلب المصالح إذا تساويا. We have another legal maxim, my brothers and my sisters. If we are in a predicament, we have some benefits and we have some harms. We have some benefits, we have some harms. We're in a predicament, my brothers and my sisters. There's no way around it. We have benefits and we have harms. What should we prioritize? This is also a class of fiqh, ya jama'ah. This is why I called it fiqh social media. فقه social media أو النواة الفقهية في social media, whatever you want to call it. Brothers, I'm going to ask the question again. We're in a predicament, right? I have this situation in front of me, right? And there is no third option, right? There is some benefit that's going to come out of it and also some harms. What do we do? Do we prioritize taking this benefit or getting rid of the evil? If we are in a predicament, right? And the benefits that may come out of it equate or like the same of the evils that come out of the situation. Or let's just say the evils are far more than the benefits, then we have to prioritize abstaining from those harms. Even if some benefit, you can't say, Akhi, look, I'm getting benefit from it while you're destroying your heart and your religion. Whether it may be because of doubts that you're exposed to, right? Or fahisha. You have to prioritize getting rid of it, even if there's a bit of benefit. Does that make sense, my brothers and sisters? هذه قاعدة مهمة جدا. Very, very important legal maxim. Right? We have Abdullah sitting here who traveled with me today. He doesn't even have social media. He only has WhatsApp. Earlier I asked him a question about something that he goes, no, I don't even have social media. Sometimes we talk as if we can't do without social media. Sahih? That's how we talk like. A couple of years ago when I went to Green Lane Masjid, a brother came up to me and he said, oh mashallah, you came to Green Lane today. Yeah, I said, I got a lecture. Oh, subhanAllah, you got a lecture. And I'm looking at him. And you didn't see him on social media? You're part of the masjid. He goes, no, I don't even have a smartphone. And then he showed me his brick phone. Wallahi. Because I just need to detox, I just need to stay away from social media because I got a little bit addicted. Sometimes they may happen to us, my brothers and my sisters. We become addicted to just swiping. So if you know, my brothers and my sisters, right, you keep falling into haram, even though you might see a reminder or two on there, right? But it keeps dragging you back and forth in this haram, you have to avoid it altogether. and you prioritize avoiding it over the benefits that you're trying to secure. واضح؟ The next one, my brothers and sisters, من استعجل الشيء قبل أوانه عوقب بحرمانه. This might be targeted at a more specific audience. Don't be very quick at posting stuff online, lest you may regret. Social media does not believe in something called listening to both sides of the story. They don't believe in forgiving. Oh, maybe he meant this or maybe he meant that. There's no husn al-dhan. There's no having a good opinion of that individual who wrote that. Would you guys agree? If you're very, very hasty, you'll be deprived. You post something today, it may end up affecting, I'm going to tell you guys something interesting. It may end up affecting you getting a job because of something that you posted on social media. Agreed? How many people have been sacked because of something they wrote online? Sure, I know. Do you guys think? Sahih? Or they were prevented jobs. Or they were even prevented from being allowed to enroll in a university. Today, if you want to join Medina, one of the things they ask you is for your social media accounts. They ask you for your social media accounts. What is this guy posting? Huh? And it's not just University of Medina, in so many different مجالات في الحياة, يعني so many aspects of life. Right? And it could be that you end up losing so many people, right? And your laundry is aired in public. Allah, it can ruin your life for the West. Later on you regret, why did I do that? Sometimes we're foul, sometimes, and then you want to get married. One of the first things people do today is they'll go onto social media. I remember, subhanAllah, there was a situation where a brother wanted to marry a sister, and he didn't really think about going onto social media. There's only a couple of weeks left before they get married. He went on her social media and saw her liking pictures of bodybuilders. Because you can see what you've liked, and bodybuilders, you know, just like. He called it off because of it. And sometimes it's vice versa, my brothers and my sisters. It's vice versa. Right? And then he's saying, oh Allah, they're just sisters at work and madriyesh. And who even told you to follow her? Should a brother be following a sister? Generally speaking. Why are you following a sister? What are you looking at here? What are you gaining from following the sister? Huh? What's the objective behind it? You ask yourself the question. Huh? Then you also have other principles, al-ihtiyat wa mashru'. Taking precautions are something that is legislated, even though it's a little bit. Sharia instructs us to be cautious. And I somewhat touched on it earlier. ما حرم سدا للذريعة أبيح للحاجة. Anything that has been prohibited because of what it leads to has been made permissible if there's a need. لأن النهي نوعان. We have two types of prohibitions in the Sharia. A prohibition, my brothers and my sisters, when it comes to wasa'il, due to what it leads to, and then you have prohibitions that are haram in within itself, mahqasid. If I know this wasila, this means is going to lead me to haram, I have to cut it off straight away. If I know that. If I know that this, whatever it might be, or this workplace or that, is going to lead me potentially to haram, there's a very high likely chance, I have to stay away from it. And I'm going to conclude with this, inshallah ta'ala. I know the brothers are just being really nice to me, giving me extra time. But I want you guys to listen to Sheikh Jayyid بإذن الله تعالى is on next, I believe. Sahih? Oh, there's a break after. Ajib. What time is it? Ish is at 6? What time is my program in Green Lane? Huh? What time? What time exactly? Because everyone prays Ish differently. 7:30. Okay, I have enough time to get there. Questions. Last one I want to take also, my brothers and sisters, is last legal maxim. This is very, very important. Some of us, we go online to take knowledge, right? Sometimes knowledge on very big issues. Keep this legal maxim in mind. تغير الفتوى بتغير الزمان والمكان. A fatwa can change because of the change of time and place. I have many statements from different ulama of the different madahib, right, on different fiqh issues. They might give a fatwa in this particular locality that you cannot then take and apply elsewhere. It had a specific cause and reason, right? You have a brother, he comes across a fatwa, he puts it online, and he ends up causing a huge fuss, which may even potentially lead to people who are not religious thinking bad of scholars. How can this sheikh ever say this? But he intended it for a specific time and place. Right? A fatwa may change because of the change of time and place. Sometimes, my brothers and my sisters, someone may say, or a sheikh may say, an alim, that you shouldn't do this anymore because of fasad, corruption becoming so much more widespread. I'll give you guys an example, right? Traveling with your dad's wife, is that allowed? Is it permissible? Is she your mahram? Let's just say your dad is married to your mother. Huh? He's married to your mother, sah? He marries somebody else. Are you allowed to now travel with the wife of your dad? Yes, of course. وَلَا تَنْكِحُوا مَا نَكَحَ آبَاؤُكُمْ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ إِلَّا مَا سَلَمَ. You're never allowed to marry that lady, even if she's divorced by your father later on. Even if she's younger than you. That's why. She's your mahram. Right? I'm currently staying with my dad. Right? He lives in Leicester. And his second wife is there. Am I allowed to travel with her, generally speaking? Am I her mahram? If she needed now to go umrah, do I become a mahram? Yes, I do not. But I'll tell you guys something very interesting that Imam Malik in his time said. Right? Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala would dislike, and he would make this known. Right? تنزيها سفر المرأة مع زوجها. Right? One traveling, like for example, me traveling with my dad's wife, he would dislike it. He would shun it. He would discourage it. Why? Because corruption became very widespread. Especially if she was young. Especially if she was young in age. So a fatwa at times may change because of the change of time and place. Are you brothers and sisters with me? I advised in today's day and age, because of similar situations happening, to be sometimes cautious of who we expose our children to, even if that individual may well be a mahram. Because sometimes we get cases, and of course not everybody's like that, where one's own blood uncle may abuse his own niece, right? And sometimes it may well be that we let the guard down, right? These kind of scenarios come in extremely handy. مع أن هذا خبث, right? وَقُبْحٍ. It happens. Keep that in mind, my brothers and my sisters. This qa'id that I mentioned, sometimes a fatwa may change because of the change of time and place. Right? There are fatwa, my brothers and my sisters, some mashayikh may say that it's haram for you to wear trousers. Right? When everyone's wearing trousers, but it was intended for a specific scenario and time. Because of maybe certain things that were happening. If the same effective causes, reasonings are also present at a different time, you may use that fatwa. Right? You'll come across something on social media, right? And you're just ready to embrace it. My brothers and sisters, let me ask you guys a question, right? Anyone here a med student? Any med students here, my brothers and my sisters? Med. Studying medicine. Any doctors? Hi Jama'ah, any doctors? Or someone studying to become a doctor? Come on brothers, we need you here. We have a problem if you're not looking to become a doctor in the community. Someone who's 4th year med student, let me ask you a question. Would you feel comfortable asking him for medical advice? Like what about if he's last year med student? Would you feel comfortable? Huh? Feel comfortable? Come on brothers. Once upon a time, I believe, it was more widespread in the Somali community. They would leave the UK and go to Germany. Sahih? Somehow. Why? Because we heard that the doctors there are... You will really go out your way to get the best possible medical advice. I remember even my own parents, when I used to live in the Netherlands, I remember going to Germany in the car, when I was very young. And my father said to me at the time, oh, the doctors over there are, you know, the creme of the creme. Right? Highly ranked in Europe. People will travel out to double check, to be extra sure of who you are taking knowledge from, and to verify the information that you have what? Been fed. And sometimes you'll hear certain things that may shake your faith, and we will conclude with this. Just because you don't have the answers, that doesn't mean there aren't any answers. This is a qa'ida from Abu Taymiyyah. Right? Just because you don't have the answers, that doesn't mean there aren't any answers. Are you brothers and sisters with me? You are exposed to just about every evil you can think of online. Right? Especially your youngsters. Fortify them, protect them from that which they may potentially be exposed to. Whether they may be on TikTok, whether they may be on Instagram. Everyone's talking today. Somebody, you know, will come online, create an account, he's got a beard, says a bit of ya'ni, drops a couple of Arabic words, and he sounds very eloquent. And they're asking him fatwa on live, and you don't ask about his qualification, but when it comes to medical advice, or when it comes to, you need like mechanical services, you make sure that guy is not going to rip you up. You ask all the right questions. We'll stop there, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakumullah khairan, barakallahu feekum, ahsanallahu alaykum. It's always very nice to come to Masjid Tawfiq Coventry. Really, really happy to see all of you guys. Right? And I'm also very happy to see some of the brothers from over 10 years ago. Now they've taken the reins, they're benefiting the community, they're setting it up. But once upon a time they used to sit here to benefit. Now they've, you know, they're at the forefront of spreading khair. May Allah Azza wa Jalla bless them. Like Ustadh Mustafa, Ustadh Nu'man, our Shaykh here.
Jazakallah khairan. Our Ustadh Abu Taymiyyah, we thank Allah for the ni'mah of having him as well, alhamdulillah. We ask Allah to preserve him and keep him upon his ibadah. Inshallah, we'll take one or two questions, and after